All righty, here we go. Episode 4, ball up top. Um, Here we go. I guess Josh, let's dive in with some team recaps, get us going. Hunter and I talked last week about Houston, Auburn already, so we'll start with you, Indiana, since the last time we talked.
Yeah, so the last time we talked was the most recent game was the Marquette game, which obviously went really well for Indiana. Since then, we have played three different teams. All three have been bye games. Um, I'll start off, I'll just say the results of each and I'll kind of give my quick thoughts on each one. So 101 to 70 against Milwaukee, 69-61 against Incarnate Word, and 73-53 against Lindenwood. So obviously some power programs there and some kind of close results. But starting with the good, Milwaukee, we went 14 for 28 from three, kind of continuing that trend of shooting a lot of threes, hitting a lot of threes, which is really exciting. And at this point, this was our that was our third game of the year, and that was actually the first time since 2016 IU has scored 100 points in back-to-back games, and also the first time since 2016 IU has made 10 or more threes in three consecutive games. So definitely two surprising trends and great trends to see, and gave IU fans so much confidence after three games. And then we started to face a little adversity, and most of it was self-imposed. Like I said, 69-61 against Incarnate Word. Obviously, a terrible team in Incarnate Word. IU shot 21% from three. So this is kind of how we were talking about in the preview for the season for IU. Live by the three, die by the three. And we definitely died by it that night. I will say we were up by 19 at one point in the second half, and then it got down to like three or four. I think they went on like a 12-0 run or something. We just went ice cold, stopped playing defense, and credit to them, they hit some pretty good shots. And then we ended up pulling away a bit at the end and won by eight. But definitely some cause for concern in that game, especially playing at home. And then kind of similar result in Lindenwood. We ended up winning that game by, I think by 20, I said. But it was tight there for a bit. We shot a little better from three, 32% from three, but only 38% overall. And the big thing with that Lindenwood game was we got out rebounded by Lindenwood, which was very concerning. And more specifically, we gave up 19 offensive boards. And, this is a Lindenwood team that has no talent on their team really compared to a high major team or compared to a Big Ten team. So it's a big concern, especially going into Big Ten play, that we're getting out rebounded by Lindenwood. That being said, we gave up 19 offensive boards and only gave up 53 points. So I think that's a lot has to do with Lindenwood's inability to put the ball in the basket, but also some credit to our defense there. And I will say the last 10 to 12 minutes of the second half, IU played a lot better. Tucker DeVries kind of took over, and I think at one point he went on a 12-0 run on his own, which was awesome to see. So um, I'd say between those two games, there was about, I'd say two and a half halves of really bad basketball and concerning basketball. We weren't cutting off and moving away from the ball. Our spacing wasn't great, and obviously we didn't hit as many threes, which is bound to happen. You're not going to shoot 50% from three every night. And you're going to have some off shooting nights, which we knew with this team going in. Some positives for the first five games, I would say Tucker DeVries has been better than advertised. I mean, if he continues playing this way, I think he'll get some All-American consideration. Sam Alexis, transfer from Florida, coming off the bench, has been really good. He's been really consistent, brought leadership as he was a role player on Florida last year. Didn't really play much in the tournament, I don't think, but he's played a lot of college basketball, so he's been good for us down low. And then Trent Sisley, our freshman, has been really good. He's looks like a freshman at times, but he's still um, contributed a lot more than I think a lot of people were expecting. A lot of games, he's the first or second guy off the bench, so it's good to see him get some early run when we expect him to be a 4-year player. And we also still have the sixth best assist rate in the country, which is really encouraging. Shows we're moving the ball well and cutting to the basket, hitting a lot of open looks. And just based off of results data on Torvik, we are 10th in the country on like our Torvik rating is 10th if you take out all the preseason factors. So again, Torvik is like what we've done this year. So I'd say overall not a cause for concern. I'd say the rebounding is more of an issue to me than the shooting woes that we had in a couple of the games. But you know, it's a new team coming together, young season, so I'm not too worried about the shooting, and rebounding will be something to watch going forward. Um, yeah, I don't know if either of you had any thoughts of the games. I know none of them were interesting games really. So maybe haven't caught much of it, but any thoughts on
Mhm.
IU so far?
Well, just one question for you. You compared this team early on to 2016 Indiana. How did that season end up? Is that a similar ceiling floor for you still?
I hope not. I think that team was preseason, might have been preseason number one, and it ended with Tom Crean getting fired and not making the tournament and going to the NIT. So I hope that wasn't. I hope it's not going to be a kind of a similar season, but still good to see we buck some trends from the past 8 years. One thing I do want to say about the season so far and the team, and really, I think the student section so far has been embarrassing. I get that it's only been against mid-major teams at home, but it's been pretty pathetic. Yeah, football's rolling. Yeah, it's been some kind of weird game times, like a 6 o'clock on a Sunday against bad opponents. But I think it's pretty embarrassing that the student section hasn't really filled the balcony. Like we always filled the balcony, even when we were bad when I was there. I know I sound like old man yelling at a cloud, but I think that the team deserves to have the fans show up, especially a new coach, new team. So hope I'm looking to see that go improve as we go forward. We got Kansas State at home next on Tuesday, so I expect. Actually, I don't even know if students will be at that game because of Thanksgiving, but if they are, I expect the crowd to be a lot better. Kansas State, they beat Mississippi State, lost a close one in Nebraska, so nothing crazy coming into Assembly Hall, but still a high major team that can beat you. Haggerty can beat you if we don't show up and play some defense. So I expect this to be a good test for IU. Five out of our next six games are against high major opponents, so that'll be kind of a good barometer to see how we're going to look. But yeah, overall, I'd say about a typical as expected start. Kind of came down to earth a little bit after those first three games, but no huge causes to for concern so far.
Yeah, and you guys are part of that loaded December 6th slate playing Louisville. Where is that game, Josh?
That is in Indy at Cambridge.
Okay.
So
Oh, yeah, because it's the same
yeah,
day as the Big Ten championship. Man, that's gonna
yeah.
be pretty nuts if but you guys have already locked up a spot in the
Uh,
vault.
we could
Or you
if
gotta
we lose to
beat.
Purdue, there's a unlikely scenario where we don't make it, but 99% chance. Yeah, that could be one of the better days in not sports history if things go
Yeah.
well. But
Yeah, that in the state too for both those games to be going on at the same time in Indy, that's pretty crazy.
yeah,
But yeah, we'll get in a little bit more to that December 6th slate here in a little bit because I think that'll be probably next time we get on the day after recapping that day. So yeah, no, nothing else for me on the Indiana front. I'm excited to kind of start watching them some more with K State, Louisville, Kentucky, some of those bigger games coming up. No disrespect to Incarnate Word or Lindenwood, but I'll be looking forward because I think just what I know about Indiana and even just some of the guys that they brought in between Tucker and Wilkerson and Reed Bailey and some of those guys, like it makes for really fun basketball. And so I think I'm excited to kind of lock into them a little bit more here over the next few weeks leading up to conference play.
yeah, no doubt. It's hard to lock in on IU versus Incarnate Word when there's you know UConn versus Arizona going on. So don't blame y'all at all. Anything else on IU, Peyton? Or are you ready to jump into some Auburn talk?
No, I mean, I think you guys hit the nail on the head. Excited to see, kind of upcoming against some better teams, how you guys play and handle it. Excited to see Haggerty versus DeVries. I think that'll be a
A good
great
one.
matchup.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But without further ado, we can jump to Auburn again. On our last episode, Hunter and I quickly previewed the game, so I'll make this really quickly. We played Houston and Jackson State. My takeaway: Houston game, relatively sloppy, struggled at the free throw line. We played their speed kind of. That being said, we could have beat them at their own game. Got a bunch of stops there at the end, but couldn't get a shot off in the last 30 seconds. And Keyshawn Hall again looked great and went down with injury, 6 minutes left. That obviously slowed our offense. And I still don't know about his injury. Hunter, do you have any definitive timetable on that?
No, I I haven't heard anything. They came out and said that it was a lateral ankle and foot sprain. Um, so
Yeah.
it sounds to me like two separate injuries. There hasn't really been much of a timetable. I think they were kind of evaluating him throughout the week. It was funny, the Players Era Instagram page posted this like hype video, and it was like, "Don't miss Keyshawn Hall in Vegas," and it was like a quick little highlight thing. And I was like, "Well, we all might be missing Keyshawn Hall." Um, but no, I have not heard anything. I'm no medical expert. I would be led to believe he's probably not going to play. Um, which sucks,
Uh,
obviously,
yeah.
for Auburn fans. Um, and I did read something today that Stephen Pearl's kind of still been trying to mess around and tweak the rotations a little bit, kind of figure out what works best. Obviously, insinuating without Keyshawn Hall in the fold. So um, I'm not real optimistic. 24 hours from tipping off against Oregon that he's going to be ready to go for these games. Um, but it is what it is. I think we've still got enough to certainly to beat Oregon. I think we're light favorites in that game, maybe like 3.5 points. Um, can Tahad Pettiford step up and what's been a pretty underwhelming start for him? I mean, he played pretty well in the Houston game, um, and showed some good effort even on the defensive end, which he's actually not a bad defender when he really kind of locks in. Again, just kind of goes back to the attitude that you have about playing defense. But um, obviously took care of business the other night, 112-66 over Jackson State. Keyshawn Murphy actually led the way with 19 points. It's really good to see him kind of getting more comfortable. He's going to be somebody that we need. We're thin as it is in the front court, so having him kind of continue to get back to full speed will be huge. Um, and then one more thing to call out that could be a reason to be excited for Auburn fans is four-star freshman Simon Walker
Oh
has
yeah.
not played to this point. He's been dealing with some nagging injuries. Comes in garbage time in 7 minutes at the end of the game, 5 for 5 from three. So again, obviously,
Electric.
some of them are wide open. He's not always going to get those types of looks, but anytime a freshman comes in and drills five threes in just over 5 minutes, that's pretty exciting. So could he be someone that starts to tap into the rotation a little bit more? Philip Jovic, who I've been extremely critical of, had a really nice night, 8 for 10 from the field, 18 points. Um, but yeah, it's really for me this coming up week. It's going to boil down to what do the rotations look like without Keyshawn Hall, and then who can you rely on for some consistent offense? Because Todd Pettiford hasn't really provided that to this point, and we know what he's capable of in big games. And the fact that I know Jackson State's they're actually 0-4 right now. They were picked
Yeah.
second, I think, to win the SWAC behind
Sorry,
Bethune
Dion.
Cookman,
Yeah.
who we already learned about. But you scored 112 points with Tahad Pettiford only scoring six and Keyshawn Hall not in the game. So
You think he could be point
certainly,
shaving?
maybe, man, he could be. There's not a whole lot of other explanation. I mean, he didn't. Nobody really played crazy minutes in this game. I mean, I think Jovic and SWA played 23 minutes, and that was the most anybody played in this game. So a lot of guys saw action, but yeah, I mean, it's been a rough start for him. But we've really only played the one big game in Houston, and I think that's seemed to be where he tends to show up is in those big moments, big games. But that said, that's not acceptable for a guy that's a leader on this team, wants to be a first round NBA draft pick. Like you got to be the consistent, steady factor. You were the spark plug last year on a really good team, but you can't be having 6 point nights. You got to be a guy that's really facilitating the offense and the offense is going through, and he just hasn't been that to this point.
Correct. Yeah, he's playing himself into a 4-year player. Oh no.
Bummer.
Yeah.
Yeah. Quick thoughts on Auburn for me. I think one of the big things that we talked about going into the Houston game was can Auburn match their intensity and their effort level? And I think they did. I know
I
y'all
agree.
talked about it on your recap pod, but
I
I was
agree.
impressed with the effort they showed on defense. They were diving on the floor, playing tough. You're shooting 63% from free throws and you lose by one. So you got to feel good about the effort that you saw from the team. Peyton, does that give you some encouragement that because I know you were kind of iffy going into the Auburn Houston game. Like, can these guys compete with him? Does that give you encouragement going forward for the rest of the season?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, Stephen Pearl's been big on, not no moral victories. We expect to win that game. For me, as if you listened, I gave a prediction where we lost by 15. So yeah, I thought we didn't play our best. We lost our leading scorer for the last 6 minutes, and we still had the opportunity to win. So for me, I'm going to take that as a moral victory. I thought we surprised myself.
Yeah, I agree.
And I don't think that changes my ceiling or floor on them, but I was very pleased with that game. It'll be interesting to see how we bounce back. That was kind of one call out I had. Like, how do you bounce back after a game like Houston? I will say it's going to be kind of unfair to really know when you look at it under a magnifying glass if Hall's not playing. I mean, just losing someone who's right now, I think he's averaging 28 points per game. Like, that's a sizable portion of your offense.
Mhm.
So to Hunter's point, where we get the rotations lined up and where we're going to find scoring is going to be interesting, especially if Hod continues to give what I would describe as lackluster performances. But quickly before we get into some other teams and some games from the last 2 weeks, Auburn's got Oregon coming up tomorrow in the Players Era. Just a quick summary again. Worried about Hall. Our interior defense, which we've called out all year, has kind of been tough, and we put Nate Biddle as their leading scorer and a great
Yeah,
rebounder. That is someone who instantly scares me.
I agree.
That being said, Oregon to me, I love was it Dana Altman's teams. I love his teams. Usually they brought back a lot of returning players, but they've looked very lackluster as well. I mean, they beat Hawaii by 1 and Rice by 4. I think that's surprising. So I do think this Oregon team is struggling. I like our chances, but nervous about the matchup down low. But yeah, Hunter, any call outs about that game before we go to Michigan?
Yeah, well, I was going to say that's probably the biggest concern for both games, right? Between
Yeah,
Biddle and
for
then
sure.
Yaxel Lindenberg on Tuesday. Again, is if Keyshawn Murphy is continuing to get more comfortable, he's got to be out there. Oporum, who we didn't really talk about, Peyton, in our Houston recap, didn't. I don't think he played a minute in the Houston game. Um, and again, he's a JUCO guy. He's still very much adjusting to the speed of playing high major basketball and playing against some of these really really good teams. But I would have to imagine he's going to have to play some just from a size perspective, and we don't have anybody else. I think Murphy's 6'10".
Yeah.
Um, and Lindenberg's not huge, but again, it's just somebody that's a playmaker down low. You've got to have somebody that can get down there, protect the rim a little bit, force him to take some kind of off balance or uncomfortable shots. And um, I think Murphy can be that guy, but he's still just kind of working his way back from injuries. So hopefully he's ready to go and feeling good because we're going to need him big time this week. But yeah, I mean, I feel like I'm a broken record at this point talking about the interior and some of the concerns there, both from a quality standpoint and from a depth standpoint. We just don't have a lot there. And, Keyshawn Hall's not even really, he's really plays more like a wing. But he plays that 4 spot usually. And so we're down him as well. So, um, but yeah, I'm with you as far as, Jackson Shelstead's a good player for Oregon as well. I think, if the Hod can lock in on defense between he and Overton, I think they can maybe curb his production a little bit. I hope. For me, it's more about containing Biddle, and we don't have anybody that matches up there. So that would be my biggest concern with Oregon for sure.
Yep. As far as Michigan goes, got a rare opportunity to their last loss was actually to us. We can beat them, give them
That's true.
their 2 most recent losses. They've also got Mara, that 7'2"
Mm-hmm.
center. That guy scares me. He's awkward and lanky, which is, to your point, Hunter, I think a great opportunity for Aborum because he looks like a giraffe at times. I mean, he's 7 feet, like 110 pounds. I think that's a good opportunity to get him some minutes. And then their starting point guard Elliot Cadeau, him and Hod from the same hometown, best friends, played on same AAU team. I think that's a game that Hod's going to take personally. If you are a gambling man and you believe in Todd Pettiford, I would take him to score 20 plus points on Cadeau.
He's 1-0 against him. They played UNC in the Maui semifinals last year, and I don't remember what Todd did in that game. We spanked UNC. But yeah, you would think that's one that he definitely, they're going to be looking at that kind of head-to-head point guard matchup. So could definitely be, a game that Tahad's ready to get up for.
Sure. All right. Well, enough about Auburn and Indiana. I guess we can start kind of recapping some of the teams and games from last week. I guess let's start with Kentucky. One of you guys want to get us going on Kentucky?
Yeah, I can start. I think
Let it rip, Josh.
I think all of us were really high. I mean, I know all of us were really high in Kentucky, so we all owe an apology. That was at least so far, 5 games into the year. That was a complete whiff on our part.
Did
I
we
will not apologize for Kentucky sucking. They
No.
have they have left me high and dry.
did we all pick them both to win the SEC and to make the Final Four?
Peyton at
Uh,
Tennessee, the
Peyton picked
SEC,
Tennessee.
Tennessee, yeah. Peyton picked
but
Tennessee. That's right.
we all four of us did
Could be
have
a
the
good pick.
Final Four though. Yeah, no, so that was looking like a bad pick so far. In the Louisville game, it looked like they can keep up with them offensively, and then in the Michigan State game, it looked like they didn't have many answers for their defense. So they kind of lost in two different ways in both of those games, in my opinion. And I know Kentucky probably prefers to play the way they played the Louisville game and try to
For
outscore their
sure.
opponent as opposed to the Michigan State game. So that Michigan State game could have just been a style difference. But and maybe Louisville's really good and it was at Louisville, so maybe we're writing Kentucky off too early. But man, against the good teams that so far that they played this year, they haven't looked like they've been on the same level. But long season left, so and I think they got a couple of other big out of conference games, and of course, loaded SEC schedule, so plenty of time to make up for it.
Did you see any of Pope's post game? I saw this after the fact, but it was Mark Pope's like post game comments after the Michigan State game. And he like I'll say he very much took accountability. He's like, we've got a lot of really good players, but we're not a good team, and that's on me. But he just looked, man, he looked so defeated and like it honestly gave me shades, Peyton, of like when we heard the rumor come out that Hugh Freeze was like thought he was in over his head before he even coached a game at Auburn. Like it
Yeah.
kind of gave me vibes from Pope of like, shit, this is Kentucky and I'm not feeling great about where we're at. Uh,
Big
you
Blue
know,
Nation's not a patient group either.
no,
Yeah.
not at all. But I did respect at least that he was like, look, we've got a lot of talent on this team. We have really good players, but we're not a good team yet, and that's on me. And so he said we have failed up until this point, and we're not gonna, that doesn't mean we're a failure for the season. We've just failed up until now. We're not gonna fail anymore. But just his demeanor, he seemed kind of defeated, and rightfully so, man. Michigan State. I mean, that game was over at halftime.
Yeah. I had one call out pick wise from that Kentucky Louisville game. That was one of the more frustrating losses on a pick that I've had in a long time. I don't know
Dude.
if you guys were watching all the way till the end.
Oh
It
yeah.
was Kentucky was plus 7.5. I believe Hunter and I were on
Mm-hmm.
the wrong end of that. Louisville dominated that game start to finish, but during the last 2 minutes, oh Josh, were you on Louisville?
Like so, yeah.
I think
Yes,
so.
sir. Um, the
Yeah, that was
last,
probably 8.
last 3 minutes or 2 minutes, Kentucky starts fouling Louisville. They miss 7 consecutive free throws. How did Kentucky respond? They never scored. They didn't take
Yeah,
advantage of one of those 7 opportunities, and they lost by 8.
dude,
Very
it was
frustrating.
infuriating to watch.
Oh
And
my
like
god.
I was like I was wanting Louisville to win. And I think Josh made a good point about it. That game, it really was more just Louisville outran them. It was a marathon and a sprint all in one, and Louisville just outlasted them. But um, yeah, man, the last like it may have even been under a minute. I don't know how many
Yeah,
they went. I think they were like 1 for 8, and they missed seven in a row, seven free throws in a row. Kentucky's down 8 this entire time. Had like 3 or 4 possessions and did nothing with it and lost by 8 and the 7.5 covered for
And
Louisville. That was absurd.
if I'm not mistaken, Louisville was up by like 15 or 20 at one point too.
oh
Kentucky,
yeah,
they fought
Yes,
back
yeah.
in that game.
yeah.
So it seemed like it was there for them at the end, at least to make it more competitive at the end. They couldn't quite do it. I did pull up their schedule for the rest of the year. They still have four high major out of conference games left. So,
Jeez.
you know, they have a lot of room to make up for it before heading into SEC play. But I think if you're a Kentucky fan, you're definitely concerned. Like Hunter said, I think we were saying in the group chat before Pope was saying it that they're playing individually, they're not playing well as a team, and of course their roster is loaded, so they definitely can figure it out. But
Isn't
yeah,
that funny though? Because that's what we used to say about Cal Kentucky teams all the
yeah,
time. And a lot of times they did round into form later in the year and either, win the SEC tournament or, make a little bit of a run in March. But it's
well,
like the same story. And I mean, that's still going on with Cal at Arkansas too, I would argue. But I feel like that was always the narrative with these young, and a lot of them were more freshman heavy Kentucky teams that Cal had. But it's like it's the same story now with, a different coach.
yeah. I mean that's what a 20, 25 million NIL roster will get you, I guess. Just bunch of talent, and all coming together at once. We'll see if they can gel as a team before the end of the year.
And they're not particularly young. I mean,
Mm-mm.
Owe's back. Um, Diabate's played for several years at Bama. Denzel Aberdeen obviously was on a championship team last year. Brandon Garrison is I don't know. He's probably a sophomore or junior. So it's not even like last year where it was literally a brand new team last year. Like they've got some veterans on this team. Actually, I mean, Malachi Moreno, their freshman, he's actually been pretty solid. Jasper Johnson hadn't done anything, but it's not like they're a freshman heavy team that's still learning how to play at the college level. So yeah, it'll be interesting, but it's been a rough start for Kentucky, no
Yeah.
doubt.
And real quick, while we're talking about this game, I think we should give Michigan State their props. I mean,
Absolutely, absolutely,
they shot the ball awesome, very out of characteristic for them. If they're shooting 50% from
dude.
three, they're gonna be
You
a tough out every night.
you're not beating a Tom Izzo team
No,
when if they shoot like that. Did no
and I
way.
mean, Fears putting up 13 assists. I sent in the group chat. He's on pace to have more. He's on a better pace than Braden Smith was at this point in his career in terms of assists. So yeah, no, a lot of credit to Michigan State. They played how they wanted, plus they were able to make threes. So definitely impressive from them.
Yeah, Fears is awesome, and he's not going to light up the stat sheet at least points wise. But he is an elite point guard when you talk about like facilitating and getting the ball to guys to make plays.
He's a guy
He's
you
as
want
good.
running the
He's as good as
offense
I've
at the end of
seen.
the game.
Yes, yeah, he's as good as I've seen in that regard.
Already enough Kentucky talk. Sorry,
Yeah,
Graham.
thank
Um,
thank goodness.
uh, let's head over to Illinois. They had two big games, went 1-1. First they beat Texas Tech 81-77. They look great. I mean, I don't have really any other take. I mean, Stojakovic, he's been very good. I think he was kind of supposed to be top dog, at least offensively. He surprised me on the defensive end. The amount of highlights I'm seeing from these games where he's pinning people on the backboards is nuts. I know, Josh, you're more familiar with Illinois' team and probably teams of past and Brad Underwood. You have any takeaways there about their game against Texas Tech?
Yeah, I mean that Texas Tech game that was as impressive of a win I think as any team has had this year, maybe outside of Arizona, a couple games, but they looked awesome. Seemed to play really well as a team. Seemed and they also are a roster that's like every other roster is in college basketball. It's got tons of new guys on it. So Brad Underwood has those guys playing well early on. We could talk more about concerns once we get to the Bama game, but Hunter, what are your thoughts on that Texas Tech game?
Yeah, so I didn't watch as much of this game. And speaking of concerns, Texas Tech, granted, Purdue's a good team, but that's they got whacked in that game. So maybe there's some underlying concerns there as far as Texas Tech goes. But yeah, I mean, Texas Tech really didn't get a ton of production outside of JT Toppin had 35, Lawan Watts had
Hey.
21. They only played 8 guys, which I guess Louisville did as well. But I've actually really enjoyed watching. Did I just say Louisville? Illinois, sorry. I've actually really enjoyed watching Illinois. I watched a lot of their Bama game. They're a fun team to watch, man. Stojakovic he's a hooper. And Kylan Boswell played really well in both those games. Um, Big Z, and I think Tommy Ivasic was actually out for the Texas Tech game, so they were missing a pretty big piece. Yeah, he was. He didn't play.
I think
Um,
Petrovic was out of that game too. I think his first game was the Bama game.
Jeez,
yes,
how do you
that's
guys keep
correct.
those guys straight? Serbian
Well,
number two, Serbian number three.
I just know the Ivasic's because Big Z is the one that was at he was with Cal at Kentucky and then Arkansas for a year. Um, and then Tommy Slav, I guess is his brother, did not play in that Texas Tech game. But yeah, Texas Tech, Christian Anderson's been pretty good. He was not good in this game. 0 for 6 from three, 4 for 12 from the field. Um, and I don't know a ton about where their offense is going to come from if Toppin's having to carry the load. I mean, he's a damn good player, but they had Darion Williams last year, who's lighting it up now at NC State. I think they're really probably missing him um, as a piece on that roster. But man, they're not to kind of jump into the Bama game too quick, but there was a stretch in that game, man, where Stojakovic and LeBaron Philon, that it was they were just putting on a show. It was awesome, and defense was not even optional. It was like not recommended because both teams were just getting to the rim at will. Again, Kylan Boswell played really well in that Bama game as well. I'm curious to know what his numbers looked like because I believe Stojakovic finished with like 26 or 28.
Boswell had 22
Um,
and 7.
yeah, he played a really good game in that one as well, and really it was just kind of similar to some of the games we were talking about earlier. Bama just kind of outran him in the end. LeBaron Philon hit some crazy shots. Um, he's one of the best guards in the country, and I think it's funny because like Bama, and I think I've said this before. Bama, there were a few spurts throughout that game where they kind of locked in defensively, and they looked really good. And it's like they're not incapable of playing good defense. I think they tend to lock in a little bit more come March, but um, and then it's like within minutes, it goes right back to Kylan Boswell's getting to the rim over and over and over. I think he had a little stretch in that game where he drove and hit layups like literally like 3 or 4 possessions in a row. But this game was really fun to watch. Stojakovic, Philon, absolutely incredible. Um, Bama's Bama. They're gonna score a lot of points. They're gonna give up a lot of points. Um, I'm ready to say that, and maybe this is great. Maybe you guys won't think this is that hot to take. I think Philon's better than Mark Sears. He's better. He's better pure basketball player. Um,
Yeah,
he's more efficient to me, and I mean, he's more of an NBA player, obviously, than Sears, but he's also 6'4", playing point guard.
for
So
sure. I mean, yeah, that's a good point about Sears. I would also say Bama in the last 3 years they get a ton of points from the free throw line, but they're getting beat every game and their free throw margins, and I think that's a little bit testament to Fears not being their guard. I mean,
Sears got to the line a lot.
I think they probably won that game more than Illinois lost it. That being said, like Bama got out rebounded, they got
Mm-hmm.
out free throwed, they had double digit turnovers, and even though that game was fairly close, it felt like they controlled it tip to tip. So a little credit due to Bama on that one.
Yeah. Um, that game was at the United Center in Chicago, so
Mm-hmm.
obviously Illinois lean. I actually had boots on the ground there from one of my friends, Patrick, Indiana grad, Illinois fan, so judge his character as you will.
Yeah.
Um, but I have some notes that he asked that I read on the pod, so I can give you his
Yeah, yeah.
take
Please, that's
as
great.
an Illinois fan. So feeds Stojakovic, which I think we've all said, free throws and they win that game. and a lot of miscues on defense. He says that he's concerned about their ability to handle screens. He is also concerned that there might be a language barrier there when they're trying to switch on the screens.
Yeah.
So that's something to keep an eye out for. He said that a lot of times they were both going to the screener, leaving the guy who initially started with the ball wide open. And then also they have a lot of guys who can score. So come March, they need to figure out some rotations where they don't have, where they're able to gel, and that's kind of what we've talked about with all these teams coming together. And yeah, I mentioned Petrovic. I think I'm pronouncing that right. It was his first game that he got back, and he had 12 minutes, and my friend Patrick is saying that he's probably gonna be their best European that they brought in. So he expects to see him continue to play well as he gets integrated into the lineup. He says he looks like Ricky Rubio dribbling the basketball. So
Love
those are
that.
the takes from someone at the game.
He
Yeah, no, I
wears
think
he wears 77. He's rocking Luca's number out there. So you
yeah,
gotta you gotta be a ball player if you're gonna wear that number.
yeah. But no, I agree with y'all. It was really impressive by Bama. Bylin's awesome. Aiden Holloway he's streaky, but when he gets going, he's just about as good as anyone in the country at scoring. And I agree with what you're saying about their defense, Hunter. I do think it's hard for them to play at the pace that they play and then also play defense at the same
For
time.
sure.
Um, but when they do seem to choose to lock in, they can play a little bit of defense. So Bama's definitely going to be I think competing for a 1 or 2 seed at the end of the year.
Ceiling's high, without a doubt.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. I think Peyton and I both said coming into the year didn't know a ton about Illinois. But when you just look at like the makeup of their production, I mean, they've got a good point guard that can get his own shot. You've got an elite wing in Stojakovic. You've got 2 7-footers. Like they've got some of the makeup of a team that could make a run. And they had their chances to win this game. But it did Peyton kind of feel like Bama really was in control of it for the most part, even when it got close. But Illinois is they're an intriguing team to watch for me going forward. Just not having known a ton about them. I mean, I knew who Kylan Boswell was and Stojakovic and Big Z, but um, definitely a team I want to continue to watch. And let's see. I mean, they play UConn this week, which I think we'll talk about a little bit. But then they also play Tennessee in that back to December 6th, man. December 6th is gonna be nuts. Um, but yeah, no, I overall I think I have generally good things to say about Illinois and maybe the trajectory they're on.
Yeah, let's keep the ball rolling here. We'll shift over to Purdue. They took down Bama in Bama quite convincingly, even with Lawyer being MIA. Takeaway that Josh has been calling out and texting me years about. This was one of my first times really buying it. Braden Smith is got to be the most annoying player in the world to have to defend. I mean, he is so
To be a
pesky.
to be
He
a
get
rival fan of.
Yeah, dude, and he uses his shot fake and his head fake better than a lot of people in the country. It's tough to stay on your feet when defending him. They look great. Then they beat the hell out of Texas Tech. I
Mhm.
mean, from start to finish, beating them by 30 points. Purdue to me looks, if I would say they're probably one right now. They have looked the best to me, and then followed somewhere by Arizona, Duke, and Houston, rounding out the top four. But again, Purdue looked great this week. Two very convincing wins.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think to me, it's Purdue and Arizona at the top. And just the Texas Tech game was an unbelievable performance. They had Hunter sent a screenshot in our group chat, but they had 7 guys in double figures in that
Yeah.
Purdue game, including all of their entire starting five. And I mean, Braden Smith, he had 10 points and 7 assists, so nothing crazy for his standards, but you're getting 10 plus points from 7 guys.
I mean, dude, if
It's
Fletcher Loyer is going to score 16 or 17 a night on top of what they already have, like
Yeah, I mean,
that's a problem.
he's been his entire college career. He's been a lockdown shooter, just
Yeah.
a guy you can't leave open in the corner. But now he's looking like he's able to create his own shot more. He's getting his teammates open. So if he's taking that next step, more than people even expected, I think going into the year, then that just gives Purdue another option. Yeah, they look really good. Definitely not happy about it, but it's hard to deny how good they've looked so far.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah, I mean, I'm right there with you, Peyton. I think I would say eye test for me, Purdue's the best team right now, but I would rank Arizona number one based off like the resume and who they've played and beaten to this point. Um, but it's those two and Houston. And I mean, we'll get more into some of the other teams, but yeah, Purdue just so efficient, so good offensively. You know, obviously Braden Smith is what he is, and you've got Fletcher Lawyer, like I was saying. I mean, I think he's averaging like he actually might be their leading scorer right now through 5 or 6 games, if I'm not mistaken.
if he doesn't go
Um,
3 for 11 against Bama, they win that game even more dominantly. I mean, that's
Yeah,
the only game that he struggled in all year.
yeah. I mean, one thing with Purdue, I will say they're first in Torvik and adjusted offense, but they're 31st in adjusted defense.
I was just looking at that.
I
Yeah,
think I think Painter will get that straightened out. They could be a top 20, top 15 defensive team. Once you
yeah.
kind of put
Ken Palm's got him at 20 defensively.
oh, and pretty big difference there. Interesting.
Yeah, man,
Um,
Torvik and Ken Palm are way off just injured. They
yeah,
actually, speaking of Illinois, Illinois is three on Torvik, ahead of Purdue and UConn, and Arizona's still 10th on Torvik. Make that make sense.
yeah. But
Um,
yeah, Purdue's definitely good. Their offense is super efficient. They control the pace. They can play fast if they want to, but they like to slow it down a lot and kind of let Braden Smith run that offense. It's his fourth year now being the go. I mean, guess when ED was there, ED was the go-to guy, but his fourth year leading the offense, so he's definitely familiar and comfortable running Painter's offense, and Painter has all the trust in the world of Braden to let him kind of dictate the pace and run that how he
yeah,
wants to. So they're scary.
yeah, they did. They kind of, that Memphis game, and I didn't watch a ton of it. I caught sort of the end of it. But Memphis was in that game up until I think Purdue went on a little bit of a run to end it. But a Memphis team that's not very good. They hung around for the entirety of that game. But yeah, to your point, like they're just, I mean, they've got two of maybe the best 7 or 8 players in the country, arguably with Braden and TKR. And then Fletcher Lawyer's always been a great shooter, but him being able to find other ways to score. Um, who's the is it Clough, the
Yeah.
big 7 footer? Seems like maybe he's still kind of getting comfortable. Um, but yeah, just to they've looked the part of a number one team. I think Houston actually jumped them for like 1 week, and then they were like, nope, and threw Purdue back up at number one. The AP poll just doing whatever they want.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we've kind of hit on them, but why not just roll this into Arizona? I mean, they already took down Florida earlier this year. We talked about that, but the last 2 weeks wins, not at UCLA, but a win in LA,
Hmm.
69-65, and then another close win at UConn, 71-67.
On $2 beer night.
On $2 beer night. I mean, that's a big road win, big road win game. Jaden Bradley's been great. In that game against UCLA, I'm not saying he fell back to earth. Maybe the offensive plan wasn't going to roll through Pete. Pete only had 7 points, but they got 20 from Anthony Delorzo on 4 threes. Jaden Bradley again, 15 points. He also D'd up on the end. Like Donovan Dent's one of the more efficient players in the country. Him going 5 for 16 with 11 points. That's pretty good defense from former Bama guard in Bradley. He seems to play winning basketball. Their coach has a lot of faith in him. He dictates the tempo. Him and Pete, and they've got another big man from, I don't know. I'm just gonna say Serbia because that's kind of been the theme of this podcast. But they got another foreign big man that they play a pick and pop with pretty well. But their resume up until this point of the year is something that you don't see that often, especially for a team that I called out earlier. I didn't know anything about them. They've kind of been like Gruden calls the Broncos the anonymous crush. I mean, they've got like 7 or 8 guys that have scored 15 points at one point this year, and I didn't know anyone but two or three.
Yeah, and that's without
Bronny James
Braden Bronny James.
or
No, Braden
Bryce
Burries,
James.
who I think, yeah, well, one of the James kids. No, Braden Burries, who was a pretty high ranked freshman, really hasn't done much for them at all. I think they were just as excited, maybe not quite as excited about him as Pete coming in, but he really, I mean, he's playing a lot, but he hasn't produced a ton. And Jaden Bradley's been awesome, man. I mean, I think he's probably worked his way at least early on into player of the year contention. Like he's playing at that level, in my opinion. Um, Obviously, no Terrace Reed for UConn in that game, and he's been very good. I think he's been UConn's leading scorer up to this point, and kind of their dominant big man. So I didn't. For me, again, I feel like I say this every time Arizona beats someone. I'm not worried about UConn. They'll be just fine. I think they're still probably one of the best five or six teams in the country. But Arizona just keeps knocking people off, and away from home. Like they haven't. None of these games have been at home. So they are, again, I think they're probably one of the best two teams in the country, at least thus far. Um, and they actually funny first like first two games in December they play Alabama, or I'll play Auburn and Alabama back to back. Just a random little
Tough schedule.
yeah,
stat there.
good.
Yeah, I don't. Bama's a neutral somewhere. I'll look and see.
Three
Oh,
top.
Birmingham.
That's five top 15 teams out of conference.
Yeah,
Just bit, unless I don't know if they have anything else. Yeah, no, y'all kind of touched on all of it. I agree with everything you've said. Koa Pete, one of the things I complimented on in the Florida game, which is first game, was his ability to knock into foul trouble. He got into a little foul trouble against UCLA. Only ended up playing 21 minutes. But and it was impressive they won without him. And one thing I loved about this Arizona UCLA game is that even though one of the big issues that we have with college basketball is, these super conferences. I love former Pac-12 teams scheduling games together. I hope that continues. I love seeing, you lose a lot in the modern college basketball. There's a lot of benefits to it, but at the end of the day, a lot of the stuff that we love about college sports has changed a lot. So good on them for getting that game on the schedule. I hope that continues.
Yep, you can clip this and cut to it. I'm gonna throw out there maybe Arizona's peaking a little too early. They're winning a
Ooh.
bunch of games close.
dang.
How long can you keep that up? But we'll see. They look like the number one team in the country, or at least top five without a doubt. Through 4 weeks or 3 weeks into the season. Kind of talked about it a little. UConn, they lost to Arizona by 4, and they also had a big win, I believe, at the Garden against BYU by 2, 84-86.
The Boston God.
Yeah. No real call outs. I apologize. I know we said this was a game we were going to pick. And as someone 4-9 who tried to pick this game and would have won, I apologize for not getting the pick out there. But UConn played great in that game, defended the three exceptionally well. They kind of dominated start to finish until Diabonza went nuclear in the second half and ended up 25-6. I
Yeah,
know
that
we're
game almost felt like it was out of hand at one point, and
yeah.
Mhm.
BYU fought back hard, man. Yeah, AJ was awesome in that game, and believe they had a look to win it at the end of the game, didn't they? Or they had a possession at least to tie it or take the lead there right at the end.
Yeah.
Yeah. We were kind of watching that game together, and one of the things
Mm.
that I remember us talking about was BYU's three-point shooting. I don't think they made their first three-pointer till the second half. Is that right?
Yeah, so they finished 8 for 26 with all 8 being in the second half, which
Yeah.
kind of sparks their run there to cut the gap.
Yeah. Our favorite
That's
white boy,
crazy.
Richie Saunders, went over 7 from 3. So
Tough to win without that.
yeah.
Yeah,
But yeah,
you won't
no,
see that happen often.
you kind of look good. I know we talked about them losing Arizona, but I don't think there's any cause for concern with UConn yet. I'm sure Dan
Yeah.
Hurley's preaching a different message to his team, saying that they're terrible inside the locker room, but they're still UConn at the end of the day. They're going to be kind of like Bama. I expect them to be 1 or 2 seed.
Yeah, one thing about BYU, Rob Wright is he had 6 turnovers in that game. He's had 3 games with 5+ turnovers.
Yikes.
And like we said, Richie Saunders has been streaky. Those guys need. Rob Wright's got to get going. I think that will elite if he starts, racking up more assists and less turnovers. I think that helps, spot up shooter like Richie as well. But again, I think the better team won. UConn handed it to BYU, but again, BYU is that dangerous three-headed monster. That's not a team that I want to play in March.
Mm-mm.
I'm with you there. Something else too. I was gonna mention this, and I got this stat from Matt Norlander at CBS. But back to Arizona real quick. They beat both Florida and UConn, only making two threes in each of those games.
That's insane.
So talking about, they haven't really been that elite shooting the three, and still went into UConn and knocked them off. Um, so could be cause for concern in the future of just if that's not something that they've got as part of their offense. But I thought that was really interesting when we were, talking about UConn and BYU and some of the threes. I thought about that stat from Arizona.
Yeah, I think that's both the cause for concern and also something that gives you confidence. I mean, you got to be able to shoot threes in modern college
Yeah,
basketball
you
to
have
win.
to.
But at the end, it also shows that when the three ball's not there, they're able to win in other ways. So I think it's both for them. But wow, I didn't know that. That's pretty shocking.
So that kind of takes us to one of the last games that we had flagged. Kansas versus Duke. Duke took care of business, 78-66. Darren Peterson not playing. We've kind of talked where are they going to get their offense without him. Kansas, for a lot of this game, I felt like they played very well. They played hard without Peterson. I thought Bill Self actually took them out of the game multiple times by sitting people with 2 fouls in the first half and three
Yeah.
fouls in the second half, allowing Duke to kind of go on
Hmm.
some runs. Duke's great. Duke, they're a very long team who defends very well. It seems like they're always going to win the battle on the glass. I thought while watching that game live, I was like, wow, I'm a little surprised by how underwhelming Boozer was. And then you check the box score at the end of that game. He wasn't very efficient, but he's still at 18, 11, and 5. Like, he's a hell of a player.
Yeah, I thought the same thing. I was like, he didn't do anything that like blew you away in that game, and then you look up and he was actually insanely good.
Yeah.
Um,
Quick point on Boozer. This is from Jamie Shad, Rivals and on three. And granted, he's still a freshman, but including his exhibition against Tennessee, he's played, and this is as of 4 days ago. I believe this was right after the Duke game, 11-18. He's played 3 games against high majors. Tennessee, he went 7 for 20 from the field. Texas, he went 3 for 12. Kansas, he went 7 for 17. Overall, 34% from the field and 18% from three. In his 3 low major games, he's 25 for 39 from the field for 64% and 7 for 15 for 46%.
wow.
So I think his point there is he's struggling against physical teams, against teams that have talent as high as him. But at the end of the day, I also think it's not a cause for concern yet. He's still a freshman. I assume he's 18 years old and 19 years old, but is something to point out and watch going forward to see can he rise to that same elite level, that same top 3 draft pick level when he's playing against a power conference.
Yeah, it did feel like there were times in that game where he was forcing it a little bit. Where it just like some of the shots that he took, I was like, you didn't have to do that. But the one thing I think I texted you guys this, Duke, it felt to me watching that game, it feels like Duke didn't even run an offense when he wasn't on the floor. Like when he's out there, they are running plays, they're setting screens, getting him action to work off of and either, go to the basket or make a pass. When he wasn't in, it felt like they were just playing pickup ball. Whether that's by design or not, I'm sure it's not, but um, that was something that jumped out to me watching that game. Was they didn't really seem to have a lot of flow on offense when he wasn't in the game. Um, but he played 34 minutes, so it's not like he was out for that long. Um, Isaiah Evans is one with Duke that'll be interesting to me if he can continue to develop as like not just a 3-point shooter, kind of become more of an all around guard. I think that's something that raises the ceiling for this team a lot. Um, Caleb Foster he's not going to do anything super flashy, but Isaiah Evans had a really good performance in this game, and I think if he can continue to evolve as being more than just a 3-point shooter. that'll really help with Duke and just kind of what their outlook is come February, March.
He's going to be great in the NBA. I didn't realize he's 6'6". I mean, he's a
Mm-hmm.
flamethrower who can defend, and he's very lanky. He's the perfect 3-and-D NBA prototype.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Unless you guys have anything to add, I was thinking maybe we can roll into just a quick little pick standing update, and then maybe some fan questions.
Let's do it.
All righty. Well, I don't know that I should be delivering this segment here, but as far as pick standing goes, through 13 picks and 2 weeks of doing the picks, coming in at last place, and as of now fronting the $50 future, that would be your boy at 4-9. And then in second place, we have you had an opportunity to have quite a hilarious meme-esque situation if you had lost your last pick, but Josh at 7-6. And then Hunter in first place with a 8-5 record. That's what we like to call profitable. Pretty good start to the season.
Yeah, had a little bit of a feel for the board, but there's plenty of time for this thing to flip around. So
Yeah.
it's been fun though. It's been fun to kind of watch and monitor. I know I think we had a night last week where we all picked the same two picks, and I think we went 1-1. Because then we were like perfectly 500 as a group. And I think maybe now we're like one below 500. So I do the math, but yeah, and we'll obviously this week there's a ton of games, so probably have several days of
You might get a
multi-pick
3-pick
days.
slate tomorrow, and that might
Yeah,
not even be enough.
yeah,
Yeah, we got day games tomorrow, don't or afternoon
Oh,
maybe.
yep. So be on the lookout for maybe a lunch break post.
yeah. We're gonna have to get those up early. Yeah, games. Players games start at noon. Maui games start at there's a game at 1:30.
Yeah.
And they go all day. So be a fun week of picks. We'll definitely have a lot of them.
All righty. Well, into a new segment here. Fan questions. Be sure to follow the Ball Up Top Instagram. We'll post little things like this for either, segment ideas or something like this where you can get engaged in the podcast and maybe hear some of your questions answered. Um, we'll start off with the first one that came actually from a personal text. Reed from Atlanta. This question is addressed to you, Josh. Quote, Josh, Mike White just lost to Clemson in overtime. I think the SEC Coach of the Year may already be slipping away. How do you think he can redeem himself?
It's a great question, Reed from Atlanta. I will say that I don't think Conference Coach of the Year is won in November. It's won in February and March. That being said, that Georgia pick, I was just kind of, I was just wanted to have a fun one. So not wasn't super confident in that, obviously. But I haven't watched any Clemson this year. I haven't really watched any Georgia, so I don't know if either of them are supposed to be that good. I know Georgia had a little expectations coming in, but I will say to you, Reed, do not overreact to one November out of conference game. That is bad for your health.
I tend to agree with you there. Guy sounds like an idiot. Next question coming from Steve from Atlanta. Between Indiana and Auburn, which school will have more natties in the next 50 years? He wants us to include college football and college basketball only. I'll let Hunter, why don't you start with that one?
Dude,
Should we
I
do 10
don't know.
years? 50 years is
We'll do 10.
50, yeah, 50 years is
This
crazy.
question kind of feels like hater energy trying to pit the pod against each other. I would expect nothing less from Steve from Atlanta.
Uh, I'm gonna say Indiana, and it might be one in
I
football.
I I tend to agree with the scope of the college football landscape and college basketball. Even if we were the favorite team on paper every year, national championships are arguably, not to belittle college football, I think they're more difficult to win in college basketball, just the way the structure of the tournament is. But I would agree, probably Indiana. Josh.
Yeah, I mean, if you had asked me this 2.5 years ago, I would say Auburn, no doubt, in both sports. But yeah, it's hard to argue against Indiana football right now. I think we got a good shot this year, and no signs of slowing down. And then on the basketball side, like you said, kind of not a toss up, obviously, but it's about who gets hot in the end, and very difficult tournament to win. So based purely on knowing where our football program is at compared to yours, I'd say Indiana.
Yeah.
All
Good
right.
question, Steve.
Yep. Yep. Luckily, we've got a couple more from Steve from Atlanta.
I got a feeling these won't be as good.
Do you think a mediocre 6'5" male basketball player could start on the top women's college basketball team?
Mediocre as in non-college athlete or
Well,
mediocre as
if I could like here, I'll give you like a player comparison. So 6'5", average white male. I don't know if you're familiar. We've got a friend, Luke Smith. That's his basketball talent level. Do you think that person could play on a women's college basketball team, a top one?
um
Play,
I mean
yes. Start, no.
Agree.
I think you get some minutes. So I mean,
yeah,
six. How many players in women's college basketball are 6'5"? Not that many, right?
no, can't be. Just
Not
size wise, I would
not
agree.
ones without hang downs.
Um yeah, I think I would agree, but it's hard to know. I think obviously any bench warmer in college basketball would start on a women's basketball team. I don't think that's really a question. I would say if you're maybe like a 6'5" high schooler who's decent but not great, I think that's maybe a better way to compare it just because average 6'5" white guy, that's kind of, is he 50 years old? Is he in his 20s?
Yeah. We'll make this one the last one just to keep this short. Steve from Atlanta. Again,
Super fan.
how much weight would you put on for your team to win a college basketball national championship?
All of it. I'd do
All,
whatever it
if
takes.
you had to give a numerical measurable value.
Put on 100 pounds, 200 pounds. I got no problem with that.
It'd be tough, man.
Whatever,
100
Darren,
pounds would be a
whatever you
lot.
need me to do, coach, I'm doing it. I'd do anything for Natty Black and
I
Blue.
think I think 100 is a good number. I would agree with you there.
There's no way.
If you can put on
There's
100
no
pounds,
way.
you can get 100 pounds off and you can put it on
I stand by the fact that putting it on would be harder than losing it.
100%.
It would be very difficult to gain even 50 pounds
But this is
potentially,
saying
I
you
think.
snap your finger, you get 100 pounds, and then you go natty, right?
No, I think you got to endure
You
the
got to eat.
grind
Oh,
of it. Once you get
mm,
up to the number, so for this situation, once you get up to 100
then
pounds,
then you got to
then the
hold it to the end of
next
the
year
year.
your team wins a national championship.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's possible for me to put on 100 pounds. But if it were possible, I would do that. Yes.
Well, alrighty. That I think takes us through our fan question segment. Again, follow the Instagram, keep track of the picks, preseason predictions. We might start putting some reels out there. But yeah, we'll do more stuff like this to keep you guys engaged and kind of keep the podcast, changing and flowing. Um, but as we have hit on, we've kind of talked about some of these games already. Maybe just a quick overview with what we expect to see. Maybe, I mean, we could literally talk about just tomorrow for
Yeah.
20 minutes, but just some look ahead games with the players era and Maui. Josh, do you want to get us going on like a game or two that you're looking forward to?
Yeah. I think Tennessee Houston is going to be a great
Yes.
one. It's
Yes.
players era. That's two teams that like to play basketball similar style. It's going to be a tough matchup. It's going to be um, low scoring, most likely. Going to be very physical. A lot of rebounding, a lot of fouls. Has Tennessee played a tough out of conference opponent yet? I'm not sure if they have.
Not
They
They
No, they haven't. They play
I don't
Rutgers.
believe so.
They play Rutgers in Houston the next couple days, and then they got Syracuse, Illinois, Louisville. So they kind of pick
Yeah,
up.
they're coming down the barrel.
But yeah, they haven't been tested yet. Currently ranked 20th, but they got Barnes is a great coach. Sampson's a great coach. That's a matchup that I'm gonna love watching. I'll definitely be watching that one while I'm at work on Tuesday.
Yeah, one that jumps out to me tomorrow night, 9:30 Eastern, Gonzaga, Alabama.
Mhm.
Kind of a
Points.
battle of guards versus bigs. Gonzaga's got they're gonna have the size advantage without a doubt. And like you said, Josh, both teams can light it up. And who has Gonzaga really? I'm trying to just off the top of my head. I don't know if they've played.
Oklahoma and Creighton,
Yeah.
but none of the
So
top level opponents yet. Creighton solid, but none of the. This will be their first real test. Torvik has
yeah,
them as just over 2 point favorites against Bama.
yeah. So that I think that'll be a fun one tomorrow night. Houston, Tennessee, obviously is going to be. You've actually got two games. St. John's, Iowa State, and Houston, Tennessee. Those are that's like the Mount Rushmore of defense the last few years in college basketball. But yeah, a lot of fun games. The players, weird format. It's like each team plays two games, and then of the teams that are 2-0, it's like decided by point differential how they have a first place game, a third place game, a fifth. So I think everybody will play a third game. Um,
So
but
take
yeah,
that as you
kind of
will
a funky format.
from like a betting aspect, and from a pick aspect. I know a lot of you guys and myself will see a team with a like a heavy favorite. Now you know that there's a reason. Like they're still playing their starters. They've got something to play for there. Point differential being a huge point of
Hmm.
that emphasis on that tournament.
What do you like, Pete?
Um, I'm gonna go to the Fort Myers tip off here.
Classic.
Yep. Yeah. UNC Michigan State 18 versus 17 right now based off the AP rankings.
Probably both be higher when it comes out tomorrow.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. Both of these teams were one team that kind of hated on and another that we didn't really talk too much about, and they've looked great off the start. UNC with I know they're without their point guard, but Caleb Wilson, I mean, he could be a number one overall pick. He's been so great. He's proven to be a gamer too, which is something I did not expect. I thought he was going to be more of your typical one and done freshman on a team that's maybe not highly ranked, just in there to get his points, but he wants to win. And so I'm excited to see him line up against Izzo coached, usually defensive minded Michigan State team. Don't know who they'll throw at him. Probably some combination of Carr or Kohler, but that should be an interesting matchup.
Yeah, I don't know if we talked about Kohler when we were talking about the Michigan State Kentucky game, but he's another guy that just pisses me off and he's not fun to play against. And if he's out down there getting rebounds, then I think that's more of an indictment on yes, Izzo's team plays tough and get rebounds, but he's a guy I've seen him get bullied around a bit in the Big Ten, so he's someone if he gets going for Michigan State, then I think that they could give UNC some fits.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'll be a good one. It's kind of two teams that I think we were sleeping on a little bit coming in, and they've been both been really impressive to start out. So that'll be a fun one on Thanksgiving Day.
Yeah,
One of the Maui games that I had marked that's Maui due to the NIL and the players era, it's really sad to see, honestly, a
Yeah,
Maui tournament take a big hit with their field. Seton Hall undefeated, NC State undefeated. This is kind of a frisky little matchup that I might tune into for a little bit and just watch that. I'm interested to see Will Wade and Darian Williams, see if they can keep it up, because that transfer portal class that he got, which was a combination of a bunch of the top guys in that portal and then his boys from McNeese, and of course, what the hell's that guy's name? Who's their ball boy?
manager.
Yeah,
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 yeah.
tough to say what he brings to the team, but he brings some aura. I don't know who's gonna win that game, but I might tune in there. That might be the only game of the Maui that I'm really tuned in on. But outside of that, I mean, we've kind of hit some of those games. I know, Hunter, you had mentioned maybe having a new fun segment for us. You want to kick that off?
yeah. So I'm gonna ask the question first, and then we can run through it really quick. So through 3 weeks and what you've seen, over under 11 and a half teams that can't like that can win the national title in your mind. So give an answer first and then we can run through it really quick.
I think at this point, without I don't know we're about to rattle off some names, dude's favorite thing, listing teams. I think it's got to be over at this point. Just 5 games in the year. I don't know if you can eliminate teams yet. What do you think, Peyton?
I'm gonna go under. Once we go through them, we can kind of get a better picture, but 11 and a half seems like a lot. But Josh, you're right. It would be harder to, it's so early. It's tough to kind of sort through
Yeah.
them, but I'll go under.
Okay. So and I'll just run through like I'll go off the AP poll even though it's set to update tomorrow. But
You want us to say yes or no
first,
to them?
well, so I'll start first five: Purdue, Houston, UConn, Arizona, Duke.
Yes,
All
all five.
yeses.
I
So
think
that's
so.
five. Louisville,
Yes.
yes.
Yeah.
Michigan,
No.
From what we've seen, no.
I'm with you.
From preseason
I'm a
hype,
no.
yes, but just all in the fields or on the court stuff.
I'm
No.
worried about their guards in March.
Yeah, I'm with you guys there. Illinois,
Yes.
I'm gonna go no.
I
The
lean
six or
towards
seven.
yes. So yeah. Uh, BYU,
Yes.
God, I'm so high on
I
them,
think
but I
so.
want to go no.
Can they win?
I think yeah, they've got enough. I think
Yeah.
Florida.
No.
I think they can I don't think we can eliminate Florida yet. Will they? Probably not, but
So
we'll,
Their
that's
guards are freaking me out too. Xavier Lee can't hit water if he fell out of a boat.
that's like eight, nine, give or take. Alabama,
Yeah.
yeah. Kentucky.
No.
I'd say no at this
I'm
point,
gonna
no.
say yeah. I'm with you, and it kind of starts physical out here. Gonzaga, I say yes. Ah,
Analytically, yes, but they never do it. So I'm going no.
yeah.
Yeah. I,
Um, so you're flirting with like 10 right there, 10-ish.
yeah, I mean I'm looking at the odds. Gonzaga's at plus 1800, Michigan's actually lower at plus 1900. What about St. John's?
No.
So they're yeah. I'm a no there.
They're plus 2000 right now.
Texas Tech, I'm a no. Iowa
No.
State, I'm a no. Michigan State,
No, I don't think so.
I want to say yes, but no. Carolina, and this Carolina is probably the last team, just looking at the poll, that could even be considered.
I'm going to continue doubling
Tennessee,
down. No Carolina.
So
yeah,
I think
I'm
what do we think
I
are
don't
true
know.
contenders as of now? Purdue, Duke, Houston, UConn. Are those who we think are kind of the
Purdue,
Arizona,
Duke, Houston.
Arizona?
that top, yeah. What's the top five right
Louisville?
now? Louisville, and Louisville might, yeah, they're six, which UConn will probably drop to six. Well, they might drop a little lower. Yeah, those six right now, I think are, I don't want to say a step above because I still think BYU, Florida, Alabama, those are still really good teams. But
Agreed.
um, yeah, I would say I honestly think maybe I would even have Purdue, Houston, UConn, Arizona a slight step above Duke and Louisville at this point.
I would agree. And something I saw a tweet about it. I don't remember who it was from or the exact stat, but there's a certain amount of years back that every champion has come from the 1 or 2 seed line. So we're getting to the point where obviously resume can still change a lot, but you're starting to get teams with good resumes that are gonna see themselves if they just play decently the rest of the way, be kind of locked in with 1, 2, or 3 seed. So I think come conference play, maybe we should revisit that again, have the same
Yeah,
conversation, see if anything's changed.
yeah, I agree. I kind of ran through it and put that 11 and a half number together. I mean, we were right there. We were iffy on a few. So, the over under is kind of right there around 11. But just wanted like some gut reactions off of the first few weeks, but we can definitely revisit that one maybe like once conference play starting.
Yeah, agreed.
Any of you guys have a sleeper that's maybe not getting talked about that you think could?
I mean, I still have the odds pulled up, and we were just talking about them. I mean, Tennessee's plus 4,000. They're not proven yet, so maybe jump on them before they play some of their big games. It's risky. I haven't really seen them play a good team yet, and Rick Barnes doesn't. He hasn't made a Final Four, has he? I don't think. Um,
No.
No.
but plus 4,000 is pretty good odds
I
for a
like that.
Tennessee team that always seems to be in the Sweet 16.
I'm gonna go.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm gonna go. What are NC State's odds? I just talked about them. I'm gonna go NC
6,000.
State 3,000,
6,000.
6,000. I like Darian Williams. I think he's a winner. Yeah, why not? ACC. I mean, oh well, with UNC being good, maybe they're a little deeper than we thought, but I think that they can. They're gonna win a lot of games in that conference.
Yeah, ACC conference winner, their third best odds at plus 950.
Yeah. Well, I do think they're high up in the ACC. I think it's tough to say that they would beat Duke, but
Yeah, Duke's minus 110 right now. Louisville plus 350, NC State plus 950, North Carolina plus 1100.
okay.
I was trying to see if there's anybody else. Vandy continues to be sort of an analytical
They're,
Anomaly.
they're kind of like
darling.
Tennessee. We don't really know what they are yet. But yeah, they look good so far. It's a good call out.
Yeah, I don't know. It drops off kind of hard, I think, in terms of teams that can actually make a push for it. Um, I think actually they're not going to go that far, but Baylor's been pretty solid, right? For how much they lost.
Yeah, good lord. 20 and Ken Palm.
Um, but
Yeah,
yeah, I think that's probably right around that, 10, 11, 12, somewhere right in there of teams I think have enough to do it through, just based on what I've seen through a few weeks.
Baylor, by the way, has only played 3 games somehow. I don't know how that's possible.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy. Mm-mm-mm. Well,
Cool.
anything else we want to hit on?
Nope. I am all good. Good week of games coming up this week, and then December 6th as well is going to be a fun one. So lot to look forward to over the next few weeks.
Yeah, agreed. Excited for this week. It's not quite the same as it used to be, but still tons of great matchups. And of course, like Hunter mentioned, December 6th will be a great day for college basketball and will be a nerve-wracking day for your boy watching his Indiana Hoosiers play.
Yeah, it's a hell
Yes,
of a doubleheader for you.
yes, sir. Well, thank you guys for tuning in and listening. Please continue to spread the word. I mean, we obviously do this for fun, but follow us on or subscribe to us on YouTube and Spotify, and follow the Instagram as we continue to do this and try and grow the game a little bit. This is a great week for basketball and sports, especially with the downtime this week. Give it a listen and tell your friends.
Happy Thanksgiving, everyone.
Fellas, happy Thanksgiving.